on satellite, on Freeview, on cable, on radio, on mobile, on the web and around the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7.
Investors discouraged. Judicial delays should be addressed in order to eliminate obstacles to investment inflow.
That's partly a job for the bench, partly a job for the bar, and partly a job for legislators.
Run for Little Hearts. Marking 12 successive years of excellence, Derana invites the public to join hands. Lawyers' voice against constitution making. Proposed constitution may dilute powers of the Supreme Court. Tug of war after self-declared independence. Spanish government strips Catalonia of its autonomy. Ousted Catalan president vows to resist takeover. Security beefed up in Lahore for tomorrow's 2020 encounter between Sri Lanka and Pakistan. Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika. Now our lead story this evening is on legal systems. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says the government and the judiciary must look for ways to eliminate delays in justice, also warning that delays in legal action in commercial sphere repel investors from the South Asian region. The Premier made the remark addressing the 14th conference of the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation in Law in Colombo.
The inauguration of the 14th Conference of the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation in Law was held yesterday under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. The conference is held under the theme Emerging Legal Trends in SAARC countries.
Look at the legal system from the point of view of the citizen. If you are charged with an offence, you will spend at least a fair amount of time in remand, which should sometimes be more than what you would have spent in prison if you are convicted. These are the problems of our legal system. The fact is that people still have faith in the system because they feel this is the best way of resolving disputes. Then we on our part have to really consider how we can eliminate the delays in justice. That's partly a job for the bench, partly a job for the bar, and partly a job for legislators. Dispute resolution in any commercial case takes too long. And is one of the reasons which keeps back people from investing in South Asia. So if we do not resolve the issues, firstly, you'll find people losing faith in the judicial system. Secondly, you will find many opportunities of investments which should uplift the people of our regions being lost to us. This is an issue which we have all to look at, and I don't think you can solve it overnight. But over a period of time, the actions we take, the modernization measures, the new procedures we bring in, will enable us to ensure that at least we reduce the time taken to dispose of cases.
Now, Professor Venerable Bellangwila Wimalaratne Thera emphasises that a federal system is not suitable for Sri Lanka, adding that successes of the system in countries such as India and the US do not mean that it can be applied everywhere. He made the remark today during a program held at the Ratmalana Dhammikarama temple.
A program to raise awareness among Buddhist clergy in Ratmalana on the proposed new constitution was held today at the Ratmalana Dhammikarama temple. Chairman of the Buddha Sasana Task Force Board, Venerable Divyangahaya Sassi Thera, Venerable Professor Bellanwila Wimalaratne Thera, Chairman of the Yuthukama Forum, Govinda Kumaratunga, and President's Council Manohara De Silva were among those who took part in the event.
Those in the government believe that we won't guess their game of depicting one thing and following some other motive. Some have agreed to a contract to make this country a federal or united state, citing successes of the US and India as federal states. The federal system is not suitable for all countries just because some federal states have become successful. What they did was to remove the English word unitary. In the future, a court will be able to say that the term unitary in the past isn't the same as now and its meaning is different. When this type of confusion occurs with words, various definitions can be arrived at other than that given by the court. In the meantime, the National Alliance for Lawyers Associations alleges that the proposed constitution dilutes the powers of the Supreme Court and slashes powers of the Inspector General of Police and the Chief Justice. They made the allegation addressing a media briefing held in Colombo today. The new proposed constitution includes a proposal to divide police into two units as provincial police and national police. The most dangerous thing about this is this proposal dilutes the power of the Inspector General of Police, which at the end makes the IGP and the Chief Justice just puppets. They will establish a court called Constitutional Court. After that, the bills won't be directed to the Supreme Court. They will be directed to the Constitutional Court. All the power of the Supreme Court will be centralized at this new court. This is an attempt to vest the power over people on NGOs and those who are loyal to the West. With the proposed constitution being the hot topic in recent days, various politicians and political parties have been voicing their views on the subject. And today, of course, was no different. How many constitutions were presented by the leaders after independence? When some constitutions were made, the entire country ignited. They're going to bring a new constitution now. Some said recently the parliament should be bombed. This is a patriot who would even die for Buddhism. Bombing is not enough. The government has taken the responsibility of what Prabhakaran tried to do with firearms through the parliament. If the parliament is made powerless and provinces are given limitless power, parliament will be empty one day. It's okay that the Sangha who stand with the nation talk about it. Some say the parliament should be bombed. All that is okay, but this should be discussed among the people. If some say this should be stopped, it should not be done. Personally, the constitution should not be changed. Since it is sensitive, even if a word changes, the meaning changes. If the constitution doesn't ensure the unitary status or place of Buddhism, even I won't vote for it. A special discussion on the interim report on the proposed new constitution was held among member parties of the Tamil National Alliance at the opposition leader's office today. Opposition leader R. Sambandhan presided over the meeting. Leaders and representatives of parties including the Elam People's Revolutionary Liberation Front, Ilangai Tamilarasu Katchi, Tamil Elam Liberation Organisation and People's Liberation Organisation of Tamil Elam participated in the discussion. Now, the government is contemplating on the possibility of veering from the existing practice of setting up schools based on race, religion and language. Minister of National Coexistence, Dialogue and Official Languages, addressing a ceremony held in Colombo, pointed out that Sri Lanka should implement this if the country is to be rid of ethnic and religious tension. There are Tamil, Muslim, Buddhist and Catholic schools built separately in our country. But when children grow up, they are asked to live together as Sri Lankans. It's too late then. We hope to stop building schools based on religion, language and race. Sinhala, Muslim and Tamil students will be educated under one roof. The country's situation cannot be put right if that's not done. There are extremists in the north as well as in the south. When extremists of the south speak up, extremists of the north are at an advantage, and the reverse is also true. This happens because of greed for power. As TV Derana celebrates 12 years of excellence, Run for Little Hearts Walk and Run, held to bolster the Little Hearts project, will kick off tomorrow. You too can be a part of this by making your donations to the Little Hearts centres established at the Derana head office and at the Independence Square in Colombo tomorrow.
Run for Little Hearts.
Manusat Derana joined hands with the Little Hearts project to give thousands of infants suffering from heart disease a precious chance for life. Accordingly, the Run for Little Hearts Walk and Run will get underway to raise funds required towards the construction of a 10-story intensive care complex at the Lady Ridgeway Children's Hospital, which will cost 2 billion rupees. The Run for Little Hearts Walk and Run also celebrates the 12th year of excellence of TV Derana. If you wish to be a part of the Run and the Walk, you can be there at the Independence Square in Colombo at 6:30 in the morning tomorrow. TV Derana will telecast the event live from 7 in the morning to 1:30 in the afternoon tomorrow with the participation of doctors, intellectuals, artists, sports personalities and more.
Makes me smile.
Now, Sri Lanka and Iran yesterday inked an agreement pertaining to prisoner exchange. The Minister of Justice and Foreign Employment, Talata Atukorala, signed the agreement at the ministry.
The Minister of Justice of the Islamic Republic of Iran had pre-signed the agreement and his Sri Lankan counterpart Minister Talata Atukorala inked the agreement yesterday. Subsequently, an exchange took place between Iran's ambassador to Sri Lanka, Mohammad Amirani, and the minister. Giving clarification of the agreement, the Minister of Justice said prisoners will not be released under the relevant agreement but will facilitate them to serve the due sentence at their home country. The preliminary discussions on the accord was held between the Minister of Justice and Iran's ambassador recently.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Welcome back. Now, for the first time since 1985, a US aircraft carrier is in fact in Colombo. The Nimitz Carrier Strike Group is scheduled to be in the island until the 31st of this month and is expected to add over 1.5 billion rupees to the country's economy.
The Nimitz Carrier Strike Group includes USS Nimitz, the cruiser USS Princeton, destroyers USS Howards, USS Shoup, USS Pinckney and USS Kidd. The aircraft carrier arrived at the Colombo port following the recent completion of the inaugural bilateral cooperation afloat readiness and training naval exercise. It is estimated that the Carrier Strike Group will add approximately 1.54 billion rupees to the Sri Lankan economy as the ships purchase supplies and thousands of US sailors come ashore and support local businesses. The USS Nimitz is more than 23 stories high from the keel to the top of the mast and is approximately 333 meters in length. It can also accommodate more than 5,000 personnel, with its kitchens providing more than 18,000 meals every day.
The purpose of this jury is to have an opportunity to interact with our allies, friends, and partners throughout all of these regions. We did just complete operations against ISIS as part of Operation Inherent Resolve. Nimitz is returning to her home port, and on the way back we're having an opportunity to enjoy a port call here in Colombo.
Now, showcasing creativity of youth, Impressions 2017, an art exhibition by St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia, was worked over the past 2 days in Colombo.
Impressions 2017, organised by the Art Club of St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia, commenced yesterday at the JDA Pereira Art Gallery under the patronage of fine line artist Ilham Sanoon. Prizes were awarded for the best paintings chosen from around 1,200 works on show, painted by students of all ages.
Art is not just the application of pigments on a surface, but a language in its own right. This is especially true in the case of young people everywhere.
So the talent is something that we don't know until we really strive forward, go head on, and then it will really come into you.
We have talent boys. They have different ideas, different thoughts. Each of them are different. As I'm an art teacher, I'm trying just motivation, but not forcefully doing that. So that's the important thing, I think.
Participating is the main point, so I actually enjoy being participant of this.
It was really a dream for us. When we started off, there were a lot of hard work, and I'm thanking Derana for being our media sponsor. This was the biggest exhibition held from our college up to now.
Now, Other Derana recently revealed a story of a team of resourceful students in Siamalandua who used throwaway material as musical instruments to form a school band. Following the story, a benefactor came forward and donated instruments required for the band.
The school band of Pahata Arava Mahavidyalaya, which falls within the Siamalandua Educational Division, is short on finances and faced various difficulties. The students, however, didn't give up and formed a band using throwaway materials such as coconut shells, bamboo, plates, spoons and plastic cans as instruments. After their hardships were brought to light by other Derana, a group including an officer from a private company in Colombo came forward and donated musical instruments worth 200,000 rupees for the school band.
Now let's take a look at other stories making news across Sri Lanka.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa today left for India on a 2-day visit. The former head of state will participate in the International Buddhist Conference, which will begin in the state of Maharashtra tomorrow. The National Police Commission says that charge sheets will be issued to ASP Tushara Daluwatta, who is accused of assaulting an individual during a protest worked off in Hambantota recently. Secretary of the Commission Aryadasa Kure said the decision was arrived at in line with the recommendations made by the 3-member committee appointed to probe the incident. Police nabbed a Pakistani national and another in Vellavatta today while in possession of over 1.5 kilograms of heroin. The stash is valued at 12 million rupees.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Now, the state of Qatar is dispatching an official delegation led by a Qatari minister to Colombo to move bilateral trade action forward. Qatari Minister of Economy and Commerce Sheikh Ahmed bin Jazim bin Ahmed Al Thani will be leading his 20-member delegation to Colombo for the second joint committee meeting between both countries that will commence on the 30th of October in Colombo. This is one of the largest ever Qatari delegations to arrive in Sri Lanka for bilateral talks. Both countries will discuss bilateral cooperation in trade, investment, tourism and economic development at the 2-day in-depth sessions that will conclude on the 31st of October. A one-to-one meeting between the visiting Qatari Minister Al Thani and Sri Lankan Minister of Industry and Commerce Rishad Badiuddin is also scheduled towards the end of the 2-day sessions. Now, Sri Lanka's first online budget promise tracker, Budget Promises Beyond Parliament, developed by Verite Research, was launched in Colombo recently. Speaking here, Assistant Analyst at Verite Research, Nilanika Fernandez said that only 27% of ministries have submitted progress reports on projects which were allocated under the 2017 budget to the Ministry of Finance.
And what we found through the budget speech itself was that there is a provision that states that all ministries are supposed to disclose the capital expenditure or the capital projects of the current year. However, in our initial stages of the research, what we found out was that this process, there is very little information online. We were only able to track 37 out of the 100 and odd proposals. And of course, there is only 1/3 or little more than that is progressing at the moment. Out of the 51 ministries in Sri Lanka, only 14 ministries or 27% of the ministries have actually given their progress reports to the Ministry of Finance.
Oil prices jumped about 2% yesterday with global benchmark Brent crude rising above $60 per barrel, riding on support among the world's top producers for extending a deal on rain in output and as the dollar retreated from 3 months' peak.
Brent futures rose 1.9% to settle at $60.44 a barrel after hitting a session peak of $60.53. US West Texas Intermediate crude oil ended the session up 2.4% at $53.90. Brent was 4.6% higher, notching its third straight weekly gain. US crude rose 4.7% for the week, but its gains have lagged the global benchmark amid rising domestic output.
A day after Catalonia's unilateral declaration of independence, Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy stripped the region of its autonomy, dissolved the Catalan parliament and called for snap local elections. Spain's Deputy Prime Minister, Soraya de Santamaria, is now put in control of Catalonia following the dismissal of Catalan leader. Ousted Catalan President Carles Puigdemont, however, vowed to resist takeover, calling for democratic opposition to direct rule.
The Spanish Senate in Madrid voted to grant Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy's government the power to impose direct rule on Catalonia. Following an emergency cabinet meeting, Rajoy announced the sacking of Catalan President Carles Puigdemont and his cabinet. The Catalan police chief was also fired and senior police officials in the region were stripped of their powers. Meanwhile, however, following the Catalan government's unilateral declaration of independence, supporters of secession celebrated in Barcelona. Meanwhile, pro-unity protests were also held. The EU, US, UK, Germany, France and Mexico all expressed support for Spanish unity.
A U.S. federal grand jury in Washington yesterday approved the first charges in the investigation led by special counsel Robert Mueller on alleged Russian meddling in the 2016 presidential election. International media report that the charges are still sealed under orders from a federal judge.
The investigation, led by special counsel Robert Mueller, focuses on potential collusion between US President Donald Trump's election campaign and Russia, as well as alleged obstruction of justice by Trump. Plans were prepared for anyone charged to be taken into custody as soon as Monday. However, it is unclear what the charges are. According to international media, investigators are scrutinizing Trump and his associates' financial ties to Russia.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news across the world.
US Defense Secretary James Mattis asserts that the US cannot accept North Korea as a nuclear power. He made the remark at a media briefing held in Seoul, South Korea, following top-level military talks.
If it remains on its current path of ballistic missiles and atomic bombs, it will be counterproductive in effect. The DPRK will be reducing its own security.
Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull appointed Foreign Minister Julie Bishop as acting Prime Minister today, while he travels abroad after a citizenship row ousted his deputy and cost his government its parliamentary majority. Kenya's Electoral Commission postponed the presidential election rerun in some parts of the country for the second time in 2 days over security concerns. Sporadic violence continued as demonstrators opposed to the vote took to the streets.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
Time for sports. Now, law enforcement agencies in Lahore carried out a rehearsal of a security plan yesterday designed to secure the Gaddafi Stadium for a historic T20 cricket match between Sri Lanka and Pakistan tomorrow. The match marks the return of international cricket to the country and is the first visit by a high-profile team to Pakistan since the Sri Lankan team came under a terrorist attack back in March 2009.
Pakistan is set to play Sri Lanka in Lahore tomorrow, 8 years after the bus which carried the Sri Lankan team was attacked, wounding 6 players, killing 8 Pakistanis, including 6 policemen. According to police officials, apart from tight security in and around the stadium, the entire sports complex as well as restaurants and businesses located in its vicinity will be closed tomorrow. A 2-member security delegation of Sri Lanka's cricket board arrived in Lahore yesterday to review arrangements for the third and final T20 between Pakistan and Sri Lanka.
Pakistan won the T20 series with Sri Lanka last night with a thrilling victory, taking an unassailable 2-0 lead in the 3-match series. After a bright start, Sri Lanka failed to build on it and ultimately could only post 124 runs for the loss of 9 wickets. Now, chasing what was seemingly an easy target, Pakistani batsmen made life complicated for themselves but got over the line with 1 ball to spare.
Pakistan captain Sarfaraz Ahmed won the toss and elected to field first. Sri Lanka got off to a good start and they were in a commanding position at 106 for 2 wickets in the 17th over. Then came an inexplicable collapse with the next 7 wickets falling for just 12 runs. Danushka Gunatilaka was the only batsman in the match to score a half-century with his knock of 51.
To be very proactive, push the ball into gaps.
Fahim Ashraf meanwhile claimed a hat-trick, becoming the first Pakistani bowler to do so in the 2020 format.
Oh dear. And guess what? Oh, there's another one! Oh,
Following an opening stand of 30, Pakistan lost wickets at regular intervals. The fielding of the visitors was commendable as they applied pressure on the Pakistani batsmen. With Pakistan needing 12 of the last over, Shadab Khan's 6 of the 4th delivery eased the pressure and he scored 2 runs off the next ball to win the match. The final match of the 3-match series will be played tomorrow at the Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore, Pakistan.
Nothing, they were poor in the field.
Moving on to tennis, Swiss maestro Roger Federer inched closer to an 8th title at his hometown tournament as he defeated Adrian Mannarino 4-6, 6-1, 6-3 in Basel yesterday. Meanwhile, at the Vienna Open, Alexander Zverev suffered a shock exit against Jo-Wilfried Tsonga, while Richard Gasquet crashed out to Luca Pouille.
Top seed Roger Federer came from a set down to beat Adrian Mannarino 4-6, 6-1, 6-3 at the Swiss indoors in Basel in yesterday's quarter-final. Belgium's David Goffin beat American Jack Sock in the other quarter-final 7-6, 6-3 to book a semi-final with top seed Roger Federer. Meanwhile, at the Vienna Open, German top seed and world number 5 Alexander Zverev crashed out yesterday to France's Jo-Wilfried Tsonga 7-6, 6-2 in the quarter-finals. In another quarter-final, Frenchman Luca Pouille knocked out compatriot Richard Gasquet, winning the match 7-6, 6-1.
You are watching Sri Lanka's trusted news brand, Other Derana 24/7.
Let's now cross over to Sadhini Upeka at the Other Derana Weather Centre with your forecast for the next 24 hours.
Good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. Now, temperatures for tomorrow will drop across the island, with the western and eastern coasts experiencing a maximum of 29 degrees Celsius. Cooler temperatures in the low 20s will continue in the central hills. Now, a low pressure zone will develop across the island during the course of the day, spelling heavy rainfall, especially in the southwestern part of the island. That's it from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
That's it from First and Now tonight, but before we go, we'd like to take you to Israel, where thousands of migrating great white pelicans congregate around a central water reservoir while en route to Africa. The pelicans are fed by staff members of the reservoir in a bid to protect local breeding grounds and fisheries. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.